The rain had finally stopped, leaving behind a heavy silence that hung over the small town of Fairview, Virginia. Puddles covered the winding country roads, and the air smelled of wet earth and pine. Emily Hawthorne sat in her custom-built wheelchair beside her father's sleek black Tesla, now half buried in the mud. She had been on her way home from a friend's house when a fallen tree branch forced her to take the side road. What she didn't know was that the ground had turned to mush after hours of rain. As soon as the car's front wheels slipped into the mud, Emily knew she was in trouble. She tried calling her driver, but there was no signal. Panic rose in her chest as the car sank deeper. Her wheelchair was her freedom, but out here, surrounded by nothing but woods and mud, it felt like a trap. She tried shouting for help, her voice trembling. "Please, somebody, I need help." A few cars passed by, slowing down just enough for drivers to glance her way, and then speed off again. Nobody wanted to stop. To them, she was just another person in trouble. They didn't recognize her, the only daughter of billionaire construction magnate Charles Hawthorne. Emily tried to stay calm. Her long blonde hair stuck to her face as she wiped away tears with shaky hands. The muddy ground was cold beneath her wheels, and she could feel herself starting to lose hope. Then she heard footsteps, quick, splashing through puddles. She turned her head and saw a boy running toward her. He looked no older than 15, wearing old sneakers and a tattered gray hoodie. His dark skin was streaked with dirt, and his hands were calloused from work. "Hey, are you okay, ma'am?" he called out. Emily blinked in surprise. "My wheelchair. It's stuck. I can't move." The boy didn't hesitate. He dropped his backpack, waded straight into the mud, and gripped the sides of her chair. His name was Marcus Carter, a local kid who spent most of his afternoons working odd jobs to help his mother pay rent. "Hold tight," he said, his voice firm but kind. The mud was thick, sucking at his feet, but he kept pushing. His shoes filled with water, and his hoodie clung to him like glue. Emily could hear him breathing hard, grunting as he tried to free the wheels. For a moment, she wanted to tell him to stop. She couldn't bear watching him struggle for her sake. But Marcus wouldn't give up. "Almost there," he muttered, bracing himself. He pushed one last time, harder than before. The wheels popped free, sending both of them tumbling backward into the mud. Emily gasped, then laughed through her tears. Marcus sat up, panting, mud dripping down his face, but smiling. "There you go," he said, wiping his forehead. "You're free now." For the first time that day, Emily felt safe. Someone had finally stopped. Not because of who she was, but because it was simply the right thing to do. Marcus stood there, chest heaving, mud streaked across his clothes and face. Emily, still catching her breath, couldn't stop staring at him. In a world where people avoided inconvenience, this boy had thrown himself into the filth for her without a second thought. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with gratitude. Marcus shrugged, embarrassed. "It's no big deal. I couldn't just walk away." Before she could reply, the distant hum of an engine echoed down the road. A black SUV appeared through the mist, speeding toward them. It stopped suddenly, splattering more mud. Out stepped a tall man in a dark coat, Charles Hawthorne, Emily's father. His eyes widened when he saw his daughter, mud-covered but safe. "Emily," he shouted, rushing to her. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay, Dad," she said softly. "But Marcus helped me. He saved me." Charles turned toward the boy, his expression softening. He saw a teenager drenched from head to toe, shivering but standing tall. "You did this?" "Yes, sir," Marcus replied quietly. "She was stuck. I just helped her out." Charles extended his hand. "Son, you've done something I'll never forget." He looked genuinely moved. Not something people saw often from the billionaire businessman known for his stern demeanor. As the driver brought blankets and towels, Charles insisted Marcus join them in the SUV. The boy hesitated. He didn't want to dirty the fine leather seats, but Emily smiled warmly. "Please, you deserve to be warm too." During the ride, they learned about Marcus's life. He lived with his mother in a small apartment on the edge of town. His father had left years ago, and his mom worked 2 jobs to keep the lights on. Marcus worked weekends washing cars and mowing lawns to help her. He spoke humbly, without complaint, though his voice carried the weight of responsibility far beyond his years. When they reached the Hawthorne mansion, Emily insisted Marcus come inside. The staff looked shocked to see the billionaire's daughter and her rescuer covered in mud, but Charles waved them off. "Get this young man something to eat," he ordered. That night, over dinner, Charles listened intently as Marcus talked about his dreams: to study engineering, to build things that mattered. The boy's humility and courage struck a deep chord in him. The next morning, Charles visited Marcus's neighborhood, a rundown block where paint peeled from walls and potholes filled the streets. He met Marcus's mother, a kind woman who was speechless when Charles offered her a steady job managing one of his company offices. He also handed Marcus an envelope, a full scholarship to the best private school in the county. "You saved my daughter," Charles said, his voice thick with emotion. "Now I want to help you build your future." From that day on, Marcus and Emily became inseparable friends. Their story spread across social media, a reminder that kindness doesn't come from wealth, but from the heart. And sometimes, one act of courage can bridge worlds that money never could.